there for each other, you know, communication and sitting in a space, finding those wounds and really hitting them. This is when you're too sensitive. Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me this week. I am shooting this video in a totally different part of my house, so I'm not in my typical blue chair or white couch situation, but this is just what works today with the lighting in my house, so I hope you guys are okay with it. I tried to tidy it up back here for you guys and clean my desk a little bit, but I'm so excited about this week's video, and something that I noticed over the last few weeks was I was going through comments that you guys were leaving and questions that you were asking, and I have to say right off the bat, I am so blessed and thankful that this channel is growing and that you guys are really supporting each other. You know, I'm out there and I'm definitely giving my love and feedback to all of you guys, but you guys are really helping each other through a lot of difficult times, and that literally like warms my heart because it's so important to not feel like you're alone if you're going through a painful experience. And when you talk to other people that are going through something similar to you or have been through something similar to you and they're on the other side, I mean, that's just great. And that's how we get through, you know, hard times. And sometimes our friends and our family don't experience the things that we experience, and we have to find help and support in different avenues. And so, you know, YouTube is definitely an avenue. And so I'm so grateful and happy that this channel is growing and this community is just such a loving, empathetic, compassionate group of people, I have to say. So that's just right off the bat. Thank you guys for all of your comments and love. But for this week's video, I was going through a couple of comments this week, and I noticed that you guys loved the video on emotional abuse, and I'm gonna link it. I think it's up here. I think it's left. I'm gonna link it above if you guys want to check it out, but you guys loved that video and I loved making it, and I knew it was a huge video and a huge topic because these are not things that we were taught growing up. I wasn't taught about emotional abuse. I wasn't taught about manipulation. I wasn't taught about narcissism and codependency and, you know, passive aggressiveness and all of these things. And it's not until we go through something really painful or hurtful in our lives that we kind of like awaken to it and say, okay, this is what emotional abuse looks like, and this is what verbal abuse is if it's not something that's completely blatant. So since emotional abuse is such an important topic, and just because you have been emotionally abused, it doesn't mean that you've experienced everything under the umbrella of emotional abuse. And so what I want to start doing is actually creating a video for each specific topic under the umbrella of emotional abuse. So today I want to go over gaslighting. So how to know if someone is gaslighting you, you know, what are the signs, and how to prevent yourself from being gaslighted. So let's start at the very beginning. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a form of mental manipulation. So the goal for someone who is a gaslighter is to essentially brainwash their victim so the victim will doubt their own perception of what happened. So what they want to do is they want you to lose your sense of identity. They want you to lose your sense of self and your self-worth. They want you to doubt your intuition and believe whatever it is that comes out of their mouth. So they're going to use these tactics on you, and I'll go over them in a second, in order to manipulate you to make you think that what actually happened didn't happen, or that what you innately feel is wrong. And so the goal of someone who is a person that gaslights is it's manipulation. It's essentially control. It's I want to get what I want, and in order for me to do that, I have to essentially brainwash you. I have to make you feel so low and have such a low sense of self-worth and totally lose your identity, so you'll be so dependent on me that then I can get whatever I want from you. And if I don't want you anymore, then I just discard you and you're on the floor, you know, completely helpless and hopeless, and I just move on with my life. So this is all about control. So I want to first give you a couple of ways you can know if someone is gaslighting you. And this is going to be, for me, it was actually when I started learning about this stuff, it was really easy for me to spot when someone was trying to gaslight me, or when someone was trying to use, mental manipulation in order for me to doubt my own intuition. And so let me give you a couple things, that way going forward, you know if someone is trying to gaslight you. So the first way to know if someone is gaslighting you is you have to understand someone who gaslights you, they can't hold a space for you. So when you think something or when you feel feel something or when you're trying to express yourself, they can't sit in a space and be there for you. Like that just can't happen. So the first thing is they withhold being able to do that. So what they'll say is, here we go again. Like, you always say the same thing over and over again. They refuse to listen to what you think and how you feel. They either completely don't want to listen to it at all and just leave the conversation, or they don't want to listen to you because they want to talk about what they think and how they feel. So they can't sit in a space for you. They can't listen to you and actually take in what you have to say because they don't want to hear what you have to say. So they're going to say, here we go again. Like, you keep saying the same things and, you're always confusing me and like you're always bringing this up. It's like that form of, I don't want to take any responsibility for, or I don't want to sit in a space for what you think and how you feel. So the next thing is they're constantly flipping what you think and how you feel. And so what they'll do is they'll always ask you questions to really make you start doubting what you think. So if they're constantly questioning you, like, are you sure that happened? Because I just don't know. I don't really think that happened. And that's a constant thing that you see in this person, then that's a form of gaslighting. It's okay to question someone. That's totally fine. But when they keep doing it over and over again, they don't want to sit in a space for you. They want you to keep questioning yourself so you can like all of a sudden doubt yourself, essentially. That's a form of gaslighting. And as they keep questioning you, they begin to make you feel like what you're thinking and how you feel is wrong. And they'll actually come out and say it. You're wrong. You don't ever really remember things the way they really happen. Like, I think you're really making this up. Like, this is gaslighting. This is how this all starts. So kind of going back to number one, which is not being able to hold a space for you or listen to you. The other aspect of that is kind of diverting the situation. So like I mentioned in the first point was, they can't sit in a space for you. They really will just leave the conversation completely. And so by kind of diverting and blocking what you think, they're making you feel essentially that what you think really just doesn't matter and is so unimportant. So this is when these phrases of, well, you're crazy and like that didn't happen and you're starting to imagine things and like you're so sensitive, that's when these types of phrases come in, is because they really just want to block you and divert the situation. So all of these things are just tactics that they use in order to gaslight you. So withholding is not being able to sit in a space for you, blocking you or diverting the conversation, blocking what you think and how you feel, you're crazy, that never happened, you're imagining things, questioning you to like no end to make you feel that what you're thinking is actually wrong. This is where they really start honing into making sure that you really doubt yourself. But at the end of the day, their main goal is to make you feel, and they always do, that what you think and how you feel about a situation is unimportant. And this is just abuse 101. Because if the point of relationships is to be able to be there for each other, communication and sitting in a space for each other and having empathy and having compassion and all of those things. And when someone can't do that for you, that is a sign. That is a red flag right there of someone who is completely unhealthy. So when all else fails and these other tactics maybe aren't working because you still seem pretty confident and you still have a good sense of yourself and what actually happened, this is when they're gonna start kind of finding those wounds and really hitting them. This is when you're too sensitive, you're crazy, like all of these phrases that an emotional manipulator or an emotionally abusive person will use to make you kind of divert and get away from what you think and how you feel and say these things to hurt you, to get you to be angry, to kind of ignore what actually happened and now to get you angry. So basically, if you have those wounds inside of yourself that haven't healed, you're going to deflect from what you think and how you feel regarding this situation. You're going to now focus so much on what they're saying to you of you're sensitive, you're crazy, you're this, you're that, these wounds that you have, and you're going to get angry. And this is when an argument's going to happen. And then they're going to sit back, calm, cool, and collected because they know that they got you. So this is why I always say it's so important that when people say these things like, oh, you're too sensitive, or you're just crazy, or you don't remember things the way they really happen, don't get angry. because that's their way of deflecting from the situation and getting you emotionally charged, rather than sitting in that space of taking responsibility and accountability for the situation. They're now deflecting and bringing all of your energy into these words that are hurtful. But if you can just be calm and not take any of that stuff on and still sit in that space, well, no, let's not, I'm not really crazy. Let's just keep talking about this, and really staying in that subject and staying in that space of, I know what I think, I know what I feel, I have a strong sense of self, and these words that you're starting to say to me now, they're not working. They're not going to get me charged up, because I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not too sensitive, because I know that what I think and how I feel is really important. And if you can't sit in a space for me, then we have a little bit of a problem. I am telling you, when you are dealing with someone who's emotionally abusive, the best thing you can ever do for yourself is work on yourself. Work on being in charge of your emotions, of, mastering your emotions. That is the best thing you can ever do for yourself, because that is proving to yourself, if you can learn how to master your emotions, that is proving to yourself that you love yourself, that you're not believing what someone else thinks about you or says about you, that you know who you are, and you know that what you think and how you feel is really important, and you're sitting in a space for yourself, and you're standing up for yourself in a healthy way. I can't tell you how empowering that is, and how much that shows a sense of self-love and confidence. And I'll tell you, the more you do this for yourself with anyone in your life that is emotionally abusive, one of two things will happen. Either maybe they'll change and they'll know that they can't do certain things to you anymore because they're not getting the same reaction out of you, or they're not able to manipulate you the way they used to, or they're going to fall off, and they're not going to be in your day-to-day life anymore. And either or is a bonus, is a plus, and you win at the end of the day. So that was just a little taste as to start knowing when someone is trying to actually gaslight you. But I want to go over signs of how you can know that you have been gaslighted. And this is really, really important, because especially when we're coming out of, an emotionally abusive relationship, we are emotionally exhausted. We're drained, we're wounded, we don't have a good sense of self. And I've been talking with a lot of people that have been coming out of really awful relationships, a month or two out of these relationships, or even 6 months, even a couple of years. And because they haven't learned this stuff and learned how to really start healing in a healthy way, they still feel depleted. They still feel like they don't know who they are, that they lost themselves. And really understanding these things will help you to know that, number one, it had nothing to do with you, and this isn't about you, but also learning how to begin doing the things to really get yourself back to, like I said in my last video, not who you used to be, but a better version of that person, a healthier version of that person. So here are some things that ways you can know that you actually have been gaslighted in a relationship. And I'm just gonna read these off because I think that they're really important, and I don't want to go into too much detail because they're kind of self-explanatory. But number one, you're left feeling confused and crazy. And when I tell you, that is a sign that you have been gaslighted, because crazy will make you crazy. Unhealthy will make you feel like you're losing your mind. So one of those quotes that's always out there that I've always seen over the years that is so true, and I don't even know who actually said it, but basically it said something about, before you diagnose yourself as being depressed, make sure you take, an inventory of the people that you're surrounding yourself with. And that's really true. So if you're surrounded by emotionally abusive people, toxic people, unhealthy people, and you don't know how to kind of create your own bubble when you're around these people, then you can feel crazy at times, because these are people that are huge mental manipulators, or people that gaslight, or people that are so abusive in all of these ways that, unfortunately, like I said, it's not physical abuse. We can't always know that we're being abused, especially when you've never been educated on this stuff. So if you've never known what emotional abuse is, and you go into a relationship and you all of a sudden used to be so happy and positive, and now you're severely depressed and you can't get out of bed, and doing the littlest things causes you anxiety, or you're constantly apologizing to your partner and you feel like you're just not good enough, and you know that you never really felt that to this extent prior to this relationship, you're in an unhealthy relationship. You're in an emotionally abusive relationship. So that's number one. Number two, like I said, you keep doubting yourself. So when you keep doubting that what you think and how you feel over and over again, that you no longer, know what you think and know how you feel, that's a form of being gaslighted. And it could be one particular person that you love and trust, and unfortunately you gave too much trust to that person and didn't keep enough trust for yourself, trusting your intuition and trusting what you think and how you feel, then you're going to constantly be doubting yourself because you're conflicted. Your intuition is saying something, but this person that you love and trust is telling you something else, and you're conflicted and you're constantly doubting yourself. So often in relationships, when we're not healthy and whole, when we're not in a good space, when we don't have a sense of self, and we're codependent or we're insecure or whatever the reasons are, we're just love addicts and we want to be in a relationship because we feel that that'll make us better inside, that we give our partners we give them way too much. We give them, all of us, and we no longer trust our own selves, that we believe what someone else thinks of us or what someone else, how they think and what they feel. And that's wrong. And that's unhealthy. And if you're doing that, you need to not blame anyone else, but really take a look in the mirror and say, you know what? I need to get back to me. I need to figure out why I'm not trusting myself and really learn how to love yourself. So I'm just going to quickly read off these other things because I think they're important, because if you've gone through any of these things or you've experienced this 100% is a sign that you've been gaslighted by your partner or family member or friend, whatever. You frequently make excuses for your partner's behavior. You have the sense that you used to be a different person, more confident, more self-loving, more relaxed, and now you don't feel like you're that person any longer. You feel hopeless and joyless. You feel as though you can't do anything right. You wonder if you are a good enough partner. And for me, this was absolutely huge. When I started feeling like that the person I was with was better than me, and that everything I did seemed to make me feel inadequate, or that there was something wrong with me, or whatever it is, I constantly felt like this person was better than me. That's really just the main point that I wanted to make, and the main feeling that I always had with this person is that this person was better than me. This person was healthier than me, which was completely not the case. But in hindsight, I see that. But at the time, I really felt that. I felt like there must be something wrong with me, and I must not be a good enough partner. I must not be doing something enough, or being there for that person, or listening, or all of these things. And I would go on and on and on. Maybe I wasn't communicative enough, or maybe I didn't do this enough, or maybe I nagged too much, or just whatever it was. But it really had nothing to do with me. And the minute you start doubting yourself in that way, you are being manipulated. Because now looking back, for me personally, I've always been this person. I've always been a caring person. I've always been a positive person. I've always had a ton of compassion and empathy for others. And my whole life, I've actually probably given too much to people. And that was something that I had to learn, was how to kind of reel it back in and just give to myself first, and then I could give to others. So the fact that this person was able to make me feel that I wasn't a good enough partner, number one, I totally blame myself because I allowed it to happen. But number two, that is a form of gaslighting. That is a form of manipulation. That is emotional abuse. So how do we make sure that we're not being gaslighted? There's two things that you absolutely have to do when you feel like you're starting to doubt yourself, or when someone says to you, you're just being too sensitive, or, I don't think that really happened, and doing all of these tactics on you. Number one, you have to trust your intuition. I can't tell you, when you start really loving yourself, you absolutely 1,000% will always trust your intuition. You know what you think and how you feel, and you don't doubt it anymore. You don't allow anyone else to make you doubt your own reality. And number two is, you don't need to win this person over. So what I mean by win this person over is, if you think something about a situation, or if you feel a certain way and they're making you doubt yourself, then this isn't about making them believe in what you think and how you feel. This is about saying, well, this is what I think and how I feel, and you don't have to believe me. That's okay. When we come, and this is so true even in arguments, sometimes the agree to disagree is a really healthy thing to do, because it's not our job to convince someone of what we think and how we feel. If they feel the same way, then great. But when you start wanting to convince someone else, then you're trying to manipulate them as well, because they don't think that. And you don't need them to agree with you or not in order for you to be okay, because that's a sign of codependency. And for me, that was really, really big. Is I stopped arguing with a lot of people when I realized it's not my job to convince you of my point, and you don't have to agree with my point. This is what I think, and this is how I feel about this situation, regardless of you agreeing with me. I don't feel better because you agree with me. I feel better because I stayed true to myself and I expressed myself in a healthy way, and now I'm good. So I hope that this helped you. I know this video was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I think that this is so important to really educate yourself on these types of things. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for all the love and the feedback. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, don't forget to subscribe down below, and don't forget to click on the little notification bell so you can be advised when I upload my latest videos. So again, thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will see you next week.